Dempsey start with her bill and make a brief presentation to us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank y'all for meeting, too. I know there's a lot going on, but I appreciate you making this a priority in your day. I bring to you today House Bill 996. The purpose of this bill is the improvement of public health and the safety, security, and well-being of Georgia residents. Last year, I was privileged to be a part of a joint study committee with Chairman Huffstedler from the Senate, and we looked at transparency and open access in government. And one of the main things that always comes up, and that I've always heard as long as I've been here, is the frustration of trying to get data in an appropriate and timely manner. I think all of us have faced that at certain times, whether we're working on legislation or trying to deal with a constituent issue. And that would be the goal of this, to pull together that data, to house it in GTA, but to allow them the freedom to actually do projects to collect it. It is called the Strategic Integrated Data System, aggregated data that has been de-identified and brought forward in a timely manner. I've worked for quite some time with this and have met. Last year in the study committee, actually, the governor's appointee to the study committee was the executive director for GTA and state CIO Calvin Rhodes. He was a member of that committee, so actively engaged as we met. We've also talked through the challenges and how hands are tied because agencies are encouraged to share data. But this will take that word that we like to use and say shall. This gives them the push of a board that will direct it. I want to read some statements that I have here from GTA 2. GTA has experience and familiarity with the data storage and processing, as well as a track record of successful implementation and management of large IT projects. GTA assures me that the technical aspects of the project are workable and can be accomplished within the time frames indicated in the bill with appropriate funding. Because they're an authority, they don't receive regular appropriations. To make it more flexible so that the funding could be channeled through other agencies is the way the bill is written, whether that's through DOAS, since GTA is an attached agency to DOAS, or another state agency that might be able to leverage federal funding for specific data analytic projects that could be contracted by GTA and an MOU. The bill is very specific. It speaks to the board, to the appointments to the board, the appropriate protections that would be included and mandated. It requires the agencies to come forward with at least 2 projects, so that would sort of get everybody's wheels turning, help them help us, and I think it would be a very good measure. If there are any questions, I certainly...
Thank you, Chairwoman Dempsey. Chairman Taylor.
So basically, distilled down, this is going to be a clearinghouse for data for the state, just kind of pulling everything together rather than having the disparate spots for people to search, and increases transparency where citizens, taxpayers, stewards of tax funds can actually access any records they want.
Absolutely. It's designed for that with, like I say, with appropriate de-identified data to not give
Correct.
anything private. But immediate access for us as legislators, for applying advanced analytics to drive desired outcomes across all of these programs, and for analytical foundation that agencies themselves could benefit from. The reality is that once agencies start to do this, there will be a cost savings. We have agencies that are doing it on their own. This would pull it together.
Gotcha. Mr. Chairman,
Now's that time.
move to pass, sir.
Got a motion and several seconds on House Bill 996, the substitute, committee substitute to House Bill 996. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign.
Thank
See?
you, Mr.
Painless.
Chairman. We'll go to work.
Thank you so much. I was hoping my vice chair would be making his way in, but I'm gonna go ahead and do my bill, if I can grab my stuff. That will be, House Bill 1008. Get everybody a chance to pull that from their folder. And this is a cleanup language bill. They're evidently, current law has rather vague on how many Saturdays and how many Sundays you can vote. This has nothing to do with the amount of days as it relates to early voting. Those are the same, but it just simply says that you can do the first or the second Sunday, but not both. It's really that simple. We've seen that in a lot of races. I've also had some elected officials from throughout the state that have mentioned to me that because the boards feel like they have that wiggle room, then they're going in and saying, well, why don't you give me an extra time on this one because it benefits the very people that they answer to in a city commission or county commission race. So if there's no questions, I'll ask for your favorable consideration.
Move to pass, sir.
Got a motion to pass.
Second.
Got a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Trying to understand whether there is a substantive change here or not. If DeKalb County wanted to have voting on Saturday and Sunday, which I think they do now, doesn't this take it away from them?
It gives them the choice to be able to do one or the other. I think the analogy would be, we wouldn't want someone to have 30 minutes to take a test in school and someone else to only have 15.
But if DeKalb County now allows people to vote on Saturday and Sunday, this is reducing DeKalb County's freedom to make that decision. Am I correct?
It's eliminating their opportunity to be able to have more votes than another county. It's a uniformity measure.
So this, you do not want this to be a local issue for DeKalb and Fulton? Are those the two that go on Saturday and Sunday?
No, ma'am, there's actually quite a few throughout the state. Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Mr. Chairman, are you not going to take public comments?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just thought we'd have an opportunity to speak on the bill before y'all voted on it. That's all I was checking on.
No, ma'am, thank you in the interest of time and crossover day, but I appreciate the question.
We do have a lot of folks who would like to do
I do,
public comments.
thank you so much. I appreciate the question.
Thank you.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, like sign. No. Ayes clearly have it.
I request a vote by hand, Mr. Chairman.
All right. You have that right. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those opposed, like sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you. Dr. Newton, Representative Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. You have before you House Bill 995. It's LC number 288811S.
Give us just a second, all right? Everybody got it?
You'll also, if you will, you'll also see something from the Department of Administrative Services, a confidentiality and a disclosure agreement. That will play in just a second. This is basically a bill that deals with transparency in the consulting practices. Many government entities, state, local, county level, are finding it necessary to obtain the services of a specialized consultant to assist with preparing an RFP or a bid package to present to vendors, as well as also getting some help during the bid process. Some examples of these would be employee benefit packages for their county employees or state or agency employees. Could be IT services, communications. There's been some cybersecurity episodes where with ransomware where someone needs a specialized consultant to come in to help us know where to start. So consulting is an excellent practice, and it's a wise use of government resources. Currently, at the state level, if you want to consult and advise on one of those items like that or anything that they felt they needed help preparing the RFP, you would have to fill out one of these. As you can see on the back page is the consultant confidentiality and disclosure agreement. And there's a back page for both the entity and the and the potential consultant to sign, it actually doesn't prohibit someone with a conflict or potential conflict from being a consultant. It just, it requires disclosure. So it's transparency in the disclosure process. So currently at the state level, that's what you have to fill out. There isn't anything at all the other levels of government entities. Other government entities, there's no requirement that a potential consultant disclose any potential conflicts of interest. What this bill does is take the language, and it's currently a regulation for anyone who wanted to consult at the state level or for any state agency would have to go through this DOAS process and sign off on this form and disclose and sign that they've disclosed any potential conflicts. What it does is take that information, rather than create a new process or a new form or try to dot every I, it takes a well-established process at the state level and just applies it to any consultant who wanted to consult for a county or another government agency. And that's the synopsis of the bill, sir.
Thank you. Any questions? Representative Mosby?
Thank you for this. What issue are we trying to resolve? Could this be done not having to take it through the statutory process?
Well, the transparency and disclosure of potential conflicts is can be done at the state agency through regulation. For the counties, it has to be done statutorily. So what this bill will end up with is a form very similar to the form that the state uses, except instead of the state agency, it'll say whatever other local or governmental entity. I believe this is the way to get that, make that a requirement, so that when all our local counties and different government entities, Board of Education, whatever, when they hire a consultant, they can be confident that there's a state requirement that that consultant has divulged any potential conflicts of interest. Once again, it doesn't prohibit them from still being the consultant. If they have specialized knowledge and they're the only one, it just requires that to be public.
Representative Oliver?
I'm not sure what subcommittee this came through, if any. GMA and ACCG.
They've both reviewed it, and they're very happy with the results and the.
Did this change the law in any way in terms of open records? I can't see that it does, but
No,
you do reference it in line 4.
It does not. No, the open records is. I think it's specifically mentioned that it doesn't. That those, I think in lines 117 and 118. The documents are open for inspection, Article 4, Chapter 18, Title 50.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Oliver. Representative Fleming?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I apologize for coming in late. I was at another meeting. I know that on line 14, you begin with the word consultants, and then it describes what those consultants may do. Is the word consultant defined here or anywhere else in the code that you know of?
It describes what a consultant would do, assisting where it lists.
So sometimes
develop the
in the code we do have definitions in other areas that say this is what a consultant is, and but I didn't see it in this bill, and I didn't know if it had come up beforehand as to what a consultant was or was not. Is that defined somewhere?
The closest thing to what this consultant definition is lines 15 through 18 that are describing, and there may be other consultants that do something different than assist with bid packages and proposals and purchasing orders, but this is just limited to a consultant that does these particular.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Chairman Taylor?
So just get down to the basis of this. We're looking for sometimes rare expertise in certain fields.
Right.
That you would have to, maybe 5 companies provide this or 5 individuals or whatever that have the expertise to do this. But it just provides transparency to say, okay, I have other contracts with these folks, and basically lays out the fact that we may be hiring them because they have this expertise, but any conflicts would be disclosed.
Right, just
Correct.
disclosed, just like they have to with the state agency.
Thank you, sir. The appropriate time?
Looks like now is the appropriate time.
Move to pass.
Got a motion to pass. Do I hear a second? Got a second. Any discussion? I'm sorry? You have a question? What number are you?
My
What number is that? There, that one lit up.
11.
Thank you, Representative Mosby.
Thank you. Just a quick question, to do with transparency. If someone like GMA or ACCG were to be putting a proposal out for healthcare bids, and they sell healthcare benefits, would that be that they could not help the city or county prepare their bid prospects? I want to make sure that we're on the same level here, so that I don't want to take away their right to be able to assist cities and counties, and then they wouldn't be able to accept the contract.
Once again, if they were acting in the consultant role, you're talking about for a government agency,
Right.
right? That was asking them or hiring them as a consultant,
Correct.
essentially. They would just have to disclose any potential conflicts of interest.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got a motion to pass and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes clearly have it. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that looks like that's about it today. All right, for members of the committee, we have been sitting on Greenhaven for 4 years, hoping the folks would be able to come up with some kind of reasonable solution amongst themselves, and you've got some that no matter what happens, they want it. You got others that no matter what happens, they don't. We did have a pass of the current substitute to House Bill 644 through the subcommittee, so the chairman's going to use a little discretion at this time, and very little, because I know we've got some other meetings we have to attend. It is the intent of the chair to ask for a favorable consideration and move it to rules, but in the interest of these fine folks out there, I'm going to ask you to line up and give me your 30-second best shot, pro or con, realizing it may or may not determine the outcome. Identify who you are. Is my young lady in the back there pleased with this? Oh, she left? All right, all right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, wow. Dr. Rice, you're first. Give me your best 30 seconds. All right, just a second, please. Representative.
I just have a question, and I did express this to the Greenhaven folks. There's been a lot of talk about the misinformation back and forth. Do you have anybody to just do a clean presentation about the city of Greenhaven? I know you said 4 years, but some of us, this is our first
Right.
term. Do you have anybody who can just lay it out
And
clean,
you know,
the
as
facts?
I'm sorry?
Well, I was saying just the facts of.
All right, listen, if anybody blurts out, this can be easy, and we can say we don't do this, because I wasn't going to take full testimony anyway. I'm trying to be somewhat gracious, so let's try to do it right. And as astute as you are, I know there's not a lot of surprises for you with Greenhaven. You've done a great job of listening to both the pro and the con on this. And again, because of the interest of being crossover and 4 years of this, I trust you'll be able to find out the information that you need. Representative, who's 18? Representative Oliver.
Mr. Chairman, procedurally, we're in an odd spot. The author of the bill is not here, and nobody is here to present the bill who is an author of the bill. Am I correct on that?
You are correct on that.
The map that is given to me right now, do we know for a fact that this proposed City of Greenhaven map that I'm looking at directly relates to the feasibility study? Do we know that, yes or no? Because I don't know.
Close enough where it wouldn't make a difference in terms of the feasibility. All right. One more, and we're going to sit down, I promise you. Anybody knows me knows that's the case. As you know, Representative Oliver, you've asked before, I think even this year, that we have the right to make adjustments. I think we've done it on some other cities. I know we've done it on some other cities in the past. The real question is, does it impact the feasibility study? That's really at the heart of that. But thank you so much for your question. Dr. Rice.
Thank you. Do we each have 30 seconds?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Catherine Rice. I'm chair of the Concerned Citizens for Cityhood of South DeKalb. In the 30 seconds that I have, I want to make one key point, which is that I believe that we deserve the right to vote. We have met all the criteria, the same criteria that each of the cities that you have approved since 2000, the formation of Sandy Springs, we have met using the same sources. And so the strongest thing that we feel is that we deserve the right to vote. We have worked at this for 4 years. We are the only people in DeKalb County that have not had one chance to vote on cityhood. We have taken longer than any other cityhood that has been before you without getting a first chance to have an initial referendum. You have another city that is presenting to you this year that will be voting in DeKalb County for the second time before we even get our first chance, and we started at the same time.
Thank you, Dr. Rice. Next, please tell me who you are and give me your thoughts.
Hi, Chairman. My name is Don Weston. I live in unincorporated DeKalb, close to Clarkston. I just wanted to make one point. I look at you all. I understand that people are going to say good things, bad things, just like you said. My concern is I have a deep disappointment with this committee. I feel like you all are the guardians of the process. My understanding is that to form a city, like-minded citizens get together. They say, hey, I want to be in it. I want to be in it. They form some boundaries. They come and talk to their representatives. Then they put their money together and do a feasibility study. And then they come through this process and you all shepherd it through. This is exactly opposite. Maybe the reason it's taken 4 years is because it's gone the wrong way. They said, what can make this city feasible? There's not enough property tax, so let's just create a big enough footprint to pay feasibility fees. So there's $27 million of surplus that is coming off of the backs of people that are on fixed incomes, people that can least afford it, and that's what's paying for the city. There is no consensus of mine. There are people in all regions of this footprint that have no idea what's going on. And as demonstrated today, we have a map that nobody even knows what's included and what's not included. How can you forward this process? How can you be the guardians of this process and put it on us to have to, my time is up, to have to defend against something that doesn't do us justice? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My name is Jean Bordeaux. I'm from Pine Lake, Georgia. I just want to point out that the feasibility study for Green Haven does not take into consideration OCGA 3631 7.1, which says that when a municipal corporation is created by act of the General Assembly, the new municipality shall assume the ownership, control, care, and maintenance of county road rights of way located within the area incorporated unless the municipality and the county agree otherwise by joint resolution. That is not included in the feasibility study for Green Haven. At a minimum, there should be some sort of an addendum that takes into consideration this is a huge amount of money that would have to be expended by Green Haven. It's not even in the study. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good.
My name is Valerie Fitzgerald, and I guess some of the things that I was going to say has already been said. However, we need to look at the people who are writing these bills and look at their financial status, do some research on them, because I believe that this taxation that's going to be incumbent upon us is going to cause some foreclosures in our community. It's going to not make the young people be able to buy a house. So I just came here to say that, and I just want y'all to look at the financial status of those individuals who's writing. Look at their tax records. See if they've been in foreclosure before they write these bills.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm just going to read because I'm not a very good public speaker. So my name is Noelle Baldwin, and I live in Gresham Park. So my house would be located in the proposed city of Green Haven, and I'm here today with at least 6 other communities, probably more, hundreds and hundreds of people that we've been actually trying to inform and get the word out that had no idea about Green Haven until this year. So they're largely trying to push this through without informing the people who are going to be affected. That really bothers me. The other thing that bothers me is that their feasibility study was flawed from day one and is also flawed even more so now after there have been numerous annexations out of the original tax base that the feasibility study was based on. So
Thank you.
I'm going to try not to be emotional and use my 30 seconds wisely. My name is Sandy Johnson. I am a resident of unincorporated South DeKalb, and I have been engaged in this process of trying to get the proposed city of Greenhaven past the legislative bodies for the past 4 years. I am disappointed once again that we're at this place where the information that's being shared is not complete, it's not accurate. If we have done all the things that are required by this legislative body, the same things, the same sources as everyone else, you know, I was born and reared in Birmingham, Alabama in the 50s, so I understand that the word fair in this country is not always applied. But I also learned that if you have a strong feeling about the way you're being treated, about your self-determination, about your right to vote, that you should stand up and continue to speak loudly for that. I will continue to do that, and I thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Patricia Wheeler, Mayor for the City of Stone Mountain. We are highly opposed, of course, being a city ourselves. We had also planned on an annexation plan, but was not ready to present it this year. With the incumbent of Greenhaven would definitely leave us without ever being able to annex anything. As a small city, and with Tucker last year, it made it impossible for us to actually look at any annexation now that Greenhaven is actually taking and totally surrounding the city of Stone Mountain. So that is the one thing that I bring to you today.
Ma'am, can I ask you, why couldn't you get your annexation done?
We were not totally ready to present it to
What-
the legislation this year. And Billy Mitchell knew this. He actually met with us, and he knew that we were not ready. And then he went ahead and signed Greenhaven's proposal.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn O'Neill, DeKalb County, and I'm just totally amazed at how many people say folks are not aware of Greenhaven, and then they come and say they have all these multiple communities that are against it. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, the right to vote is what we need. Just the right to vote. We should not be in a stone age where folks cannot have the right to vote. We've moved beyond there, we should have, and it's left up to you all to enforce the things that we know. The feasibility study is done, the charter is done. We need the right to vote because they've had over 150 meetings. If people didn't go to them, they didn't want to go to them.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, how are you, sir?
Fine. Good afternoon, Chairman Ryder. This has been 4 years for me, and I'm glad to see the number of people turn out in opposition to Greenhaven. In fact, if you notice, there are more people here that are opposed to Greenhaven than are in support of it. And it's been 4 years of them trying to push Greenhaven on the citizens of South DeKalb. Let me say this. There has been a city created in South DeKalb called Stonecrest. So the residents have had an opportunity to create a city. So don't be misled to think that nobody in South DeKalb had an opportunity to vote. But let me say more importantly, I want you all to remember as a committee, the civil rights that's going to be violated here is the one who owned property in South DeKalb, who bought property when it was unincorporated or being forced by the majority to be in a city that they may not want to be in. That is the bigger issue that we have to face here. If you were in Albany or any other part of Georgia and you were being drawn into the boundary of Greenhaven, would you like it because you're going to be forced by the vote of the majority to be included in the city where you may be the minority because of how large the map has been drawn and we don't even know what the map looks like? No. So more important than voting, it is the right for you as a property owner and a resident of DeKalb County to have your voice heard before a vote even takes place. So I really, really hope you all understand that creating the second largest city in the state of Georgia needs to be taken very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill Crane. I'm a resident of, depending on the map, what would be the city of Greenhaven, specifically in Scottdale, Georgia, near the DeKalb Farmers Market. I have a lot of respect for Dr. Rice and the supporters of the city of South DeKalb, pardon me, but I do question passing or moving a bill whose sponsor won't speak to it, a bill that might include or might not include Stone Mountain
Let
Park.
me ask you, why do you think he signed it to begin with?
That's a good question for you to be asking the sponsor of that bill, sir. I would think you
No,
might.
well,
con-
I'm saying I'm not going to get into that. You're saying we're wrong not to do it when the sponsor won't. I just didn't know if you had some insight on why he did it.
I understand he's not going to step into the chasm of the breach in dialogue and diversity on this issue, and he's the sponsor of the bill.
Okay.
You're considering creating, as Mr. Williams said, the second largest city in the state, a city larger than more than 100 counties in the state, but we don't even have a rough map for the citizens to react to. Is Stone Mountain Park in it or isn't it? Is Druid Hills in it or isn't it? Is parts of Clarkston, Decatur, Tucker, all of those cities that are considering annexations of their borders in it or not? I think it's sort of ridiculous to, on the eve of crossover day, to even be having this discussion without more public comment and decision. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Mr. Chairman and
Yes.
members of the committee, I am Patty Garrett. I'm the mayor of the city of Decatur, and I'm not really here to advocate for or against the creation of Greenhaven, but I do want the committee members to know that the cities in DeKalb County are working with DeKalb County leadership to fund a study with the Carl Vinson Institute to look at what further annexations or new city formations would look like and how that would impact the county. That is something, and the current cities. It's something that the DeKalb delegation has asked us to do for a number of years, and we now have the cooperation of the CEO and the DeKalb Municipal Association, as well as the DeKalb County Commission. And for that reason, I would like for movement on this to at least be deferred until that study has taken place. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Claudette Leak. I'm a 47-year resident of DeKalb County, representing concerned citizens in opposition to Greenhaven. Just two quick points. One deals with this issue of non-voting, trying to create an issue, a false premise of voter suppression. It is not true. In 2016, the Subcommittee of Governmental Affairs tabled House Bill 613, which was the predecessor to 644. And it was tabled for a reason. And 644 is no different, has not been changed from the previous legislation that was tabled. That's 613, now today, 644. So it's a false premise with
So the people should know the map.
I know the map.
No, but the ones that said that is a 2-year-old piece of legislation is what you're saying.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
thank you.
And 2016 was when the Governmental Affairs Subcommittee tabled it. So to say that they never got a vote or a decision on creating Greenhaven is a false statement. The other thing so we just want to make sure that everybody understands our position. It's not a civil rights issue, it's a fiscal issue about the pocketbooks and the taxes for taxpayers who would be living in this newly created city. The other thing that I wanted to just mention briefly is this issue of self-determination. We are all in favor of self-determination. We think it needs to be on the front end of the process. A referendum is the back end of the process. Most of these folks here never got an opportunity to be asked if they wanted to be included. So from our viewpoint, our rights have been denied to be able to make a decision on determining whether or not to be included in this city of Greenhaven, and we do not want to be.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was just half of it.
I'll try to do the other half.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Gina Mangum. I live in the far east portion of DeKalb County, about 2 miles from the city of Lithonia and the city of Stone.
Let me say something just real quick for other members, because that's not the first time that's come up. There's not a Health and Human Services Committee meeting in here at 2 o'clock. So I'd gotten a couple texts and someone had asked, so for anybody else in here that's waiting on that, that's not going to take place, but we are going to have to get out of here soon. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
All right. I live near the city of Stonecrest and the city of Lithonia. Actually, we had contemplated at somewhere down the road maybe annexing into the city of Stonecrest, but of course, this legislation and the referendum, if passed, would deny us that right. But my real problem here is the legislative intent of creating cities. Cities, they meet the technical requirements, so you say, but the intent is to have local control. All we're creating here is another centralized government that will not provide local control to the communities that are involved. The neighborhoods go from White Oak, Belvedere Park, unincorporated Stone Mountain, Wesley Chapel. All of these communities have differing needs and differing issues. So there's really no point in creating a city that is still diverse without local control and that have differing issues.
Thank you. Thank you.
The
Go
last
ahead.
thing I'll say is that I believe I still have 10 seconds left.
We have two different watches, but go ahead.
All right. This is really just duplicating existing centralized government at unnecessary cost to the taxpayers. It's not a question of whether or not people should get the right to vote. You all should be determining whether or not this proposal makes sense, whether it has merit, whether it is sound, and the impact on the overall community, not just the minimal technical requirements.
All right, I want to just, for everybody here, this isn't just about Greenhaven. I have never met a person who is an expert at every city in the state of Georgia. So when you sit there and you go, this one has to have recreation, or this one has to have a library, or this, we try to do everything we can to get, if it has merit, if it has this. That's the beauty in the eye of the beholder. So that's why this committee has always had the minimum technical requirements, which is 3 services, and the availability to add even more if you want to. But we're not going to pick winners and losers on what service you need or what is merit and things of this nature. You just can't have an expert for all 539 cities. But thank you so much for your words.
So you would pass any cityhood bill that met the minimal requirements?
Yes, ma'am.
That's scary.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Anybody else?
Yes. Hello. My name is Nelson Severio. I'm a resident of South DeKalb. Live in the neighborhood of East Lake Commons. I'm not in opposition to this, and for a lot of the other reasons that were stated, so I won't repeat them. But one thing I will say is just the impact it's going to have on some of my neighbors. I'll be fine, right? I'm middle class. I'll be okay. I send my kids to private school. They'll be fine. But I have neighbors who are poor. I have neighbors who are elderly, who cannot have their income go up $3,000, $4,000, for the tax base. It's going to be really bad and crushing for them. And then what's going to happen is they're going to move out, and then what's going to happen is the property value is going to go up, and someone's going to come in and again that can't afford it, and so it's just going to depress that area where I live in, and then all those people are going to scatter to suburbs like they're doing now. So that's why I'm not in favor of this bill passing. So thank you.
I'll be real quick. I'm Julie Walter. I also live in Nelson Silverio's neighborhood, and I'm very much opposed to the bill. I hope that y'all listen to everything that everybody's saying today, and notice that the amount of people that are opposed to the bill are greater than the people that are supporting it, which I think is really interesting. And I also feel like there's not been very much transparency. I've lived in the area for 14 years, and I feel like there's not been that much information about Greenhaven. So I would ask that you please not pass the bill, or not send it on to the House, and listen to the people that are speaking here, because it's where we live. It affects us directly. Thank you.
All right. Y'all, we're going to have members leaving, so I hate to do that, just real quick, because we're going to call for a vote here shortly.
Good afternoon. My name is Cherie Kernizan, and I live in unincorporated Lithonia, which is near MLK High School, across from the newly incorporated Stonecrest, and on the other side is Decatur, so we live in 30038. I'm also a graduate of Georgia Tech, so my field is to try and solve problems, and I'm trying to figure out what problem we're trying to solve with this legislation, because in all the years that I've lived in my home, which is 28 years, we've had good service from DeKalb County in the area of sanitation. The schools need work, whatever, but we can fix that. Creating a new city is not going to solve those problems.
Thank you.
I'm trying to retire in the next year or two, so I don't want my property taxes to go up. We have a lot of retirees in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Don't want franchise fees to go up. So, like
Thank
I
you
said,
so
whatever
much.
we can work out, we can work it out with DeKalb County, our
Thank
current
you.
administration. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll try not to duplicate a lot of what's been said.
Thank
I just
you.
want to make a quick comment about the feasibility study and in reference to the franchise fees, which is the largest portion of revenue proposed by City of Greenhaven. The closest city they could model us after, since this is such a unique experience of incorporating a 300,000 person city, was Augusta, Georgia, which has about 200,000 people, similar median home income values. And if you look into their franchise fees, that's about $15 million out of the 25 that they get every year comes from electric company fees, and the majority of that is carried by their industry. That's a mill town. They have lots of mills. Some of the mills started closing and they're losing their franchise fees. In Greenhaven, we're almost all people. This is going to fall completely on the residents, and I can say my neighbors who have lived there for decades. It's a 70-year-old woman who takes care of her 50-year-old children who are disabled. They get their check every week. Then they're coming to me and asking for money to feed themselves. Even if they're paying $10 extra a month in franchise fees, this is going to be, whether or not they can eat. And that's going to be happening across all of this map of South DeKalb.
Right.
In
Thank
order to
you.
boost us and support us, we need a different kind of legislature. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Edward Lindsay, and my firm represents DeKalb County. Just to follow up real briefly on what Decatur Mayor stated, we have a consensus between all the cities in DeKalb County and the unanimous vote of the DeKalb County Commission, bipartisan unanimous vote, to simply ask you guys to tap the brakes. We have in place a study that we're going to do through the Vincent Institute to try to coordinate the nature of the services that are being delivered, the municipal services, between the county and the various cities, to make sure that everyone is brought along in terms of adequate services within the county. And we need to be able to finish that study. That study has been agreed upon by the DeKalb County Municipal Association, and like I said, once again, a unanimous vote by the DeKalb County Commission. It is moving forward. We're not asking you to stop it altogether down the future, but all we're asking today is that you tap the brakes for another year and let us finish this very important study that everybody has agreed to, all the elected officials have agreed to in DeKalb County, so that we can make sure that the local services are all taken care of for all the people in DeKalb County.
Yeah.
And I apologize for not having it entirely. If
Yeah,
Representative
I
Carter can.
thank you, Mr. Lindsay. You really, I've got people that's got to get out of here, and I've been gracious on the 30-second rule, so I'm really going to ask you. If not, I'm going to be a real bad guy, and I don't want to be, and get to a point and go, no more testimony. So give me something new, fresh, and
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guarantee you I won't take 30 seconds because Mr. Lindsay and Mayor Garrett stole my thunder. But my name is Dolores Kroll, and I work for CEO Michael Thurman in DeKalb County. Just wanted to say first that the CEO strongly supports citizens' right to self-determination, so that's not an issue. But what he supports even more is for citizens to have the ability to make informed decisions. And absent a real analytical document and some real thought behind something like what the Carl Vinson Institute can put in place, we don't feel that we're prepared to do that. So his recommendation is that this be paused, certainly like Mr. Lindsay said, and that we be allowed to conduct the Carl Vinson study,
all right, thank
report
you.
that back to citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for this opportunity. My name is Devon Hudson. I'm a 35-year resident of unincorporated South DeKalb County. I'm a business person in South DeKalb. I'm here today to just talk about the economic non-development in South DeKalb. If we watch the bits and pieces of the commercial development being picked off from unincorporated DeKalb, it leaves South DeKalb with nothing. We are coming here now looking at a way to try to find out how to self-determine and develop our own economics. We want to be in a position that we can go out and seek businesses to come into our area so that we can change it. The narrative about South DeKalb has been negative for so long. We are a group of people who believe in South DeKalb. We believe it can be better than what it is. And this process today gives us an opportunity to possibly do that.
Thank you.
So we'd like to have an opportunity to represent our economic development.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Did I
My
see
name-
someone just get in line for the first time?
I was already in line, and I just sat down. Just got a little tired.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate this opportunity. My name is Chris Griffin. I'm a decorated combat veteran, 45-year resident of South DeKalb, retired senior citizen on a fixed income. I think I ought to be able to vote on whether or not I want to be incorporated or not. I think everybody in here should have that opportunity.
Thank you.
My name is Pat Combs. I have been a resident
of DeKalb County for over 35 years. All we're asking for is the right to vote.
Thank you.
I'm Ron Bivens, and I've been a resident of DeKalb County for over 35 years, and I'm a member of the Greenhaven Business Alliance, and this is the business arm where we're going to work together to make South DeKalb the same way that the other municipalities from Brookhaven to Dunwoody to all those, to bring businesses to South DeKalb. And we're going to do that. And we formed this alliance with all the business owners in DeKalb County to make sure that we could have this. And one of the things I want to say is that with all the developments in Atlanta and everywhere else, we have lagged behind. We have missed out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Dorothy Kirby. I am a retired major from the United States Army. I served there with honor. I'm on a fixed income, and I do not need another layer of government. I don't think Mr. Trump is going to raise my pension in order for me to pay for another layer of government. So I'm asking you now to defeat HB 644. Thank you.
Hopefully my T-shirt shares my stance. Mr. Chairman, committee members, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm not going to repeat everything. You've heard everything that we have against the formation of City of Greenhaven. I'm not against cityhood, but I'm against a city that does not make sense. Everything that we've read, everything that I've listened to attending the Greenhaven meetings have not made sense. I want to ask each of you, as representatives of our community, state of Georgia, to read the information, to understand what you're voting for. It's not about party, Republican or Democrat. It's about what makes sense. Nobody asked me if I wanted to be a part of this. It's not voting rights. I would have liked to have been asked that before I was zoned into it, but I'm a resident of unincorporated DeKalb, Clarkston, and I don't want a part of it.
All right,
Thank you.
We're getting close.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rhonda Robinson, and I've been in unincorporated DeKalb for 2 years. I'm a homeowner. And the only thing that I know of, I want the right to vote, but I would invite those who are opposed to Greenhaven to come to Columbia High School or the Columbia Cluster or Tower Clusters, because those school grades are low. Our schools in unincorporated DeKalb County are below par. Below par in North DeKalb, Decatur, and great for the young man who sends his child to private school. But I ask you guys to come out and volunteer and help a child read in elementary school. And it is a shame that there's potholes, there's dilapidated buildings. It's just ugly in unincorporated South DeKalb, and it's a shame that it has to keep looking like that. So thank you.
Next.
Good job, Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I have 30 seconds, and so I'm going to look at my watch as I speak. Basically, all I'm asking for is the opportunity to vote too. I am a 25-year resident of unincorporated Stone Mountain. I am a recent retiree, and basically all I'm saying is that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. I've watched for the last few years, and at this point all I'm asking is for an opportunity to vote. Then let the people who live in what would be the city of Greenhaven make a decision for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. There's about 8 seconds over.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Kirsty Young. I've emailed most of you, and thank you to those who were able to reply. I'm last because I didn't plan on speaking. I didn't want to speak because of just the politics of everything. There's always information to support and refute anything. I'm a mother of 4. I'm 47, so I'm not judged by that. For those that are able to send their children to private school, that's great. When we talk about the numbers that are for and against, that's great. But we have to remember that everybody can't come that may be supportive or opposed because they're at work. I took leave to come, but then you say, well, it's only one meeting. But then if you have children and you're at 4 different schools and 4 different meetings and 4 different activities, then one meeting just is no longer one meeting. So if the requirements have been met, whether you support it or deny it, if you're against it and you have that support, then we'll lose anyway. Just give us the right to vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. All right. The posture is that we're going to do our best to send this. They meet the technical requirements, which is the minimum 3 services, the feasibility study, and there's nothing that prohibits them from being able to add additional services should they choose to move forward with it. Representative Chairman Taylor.
Sir, I'd like to entertain an amendment to this, which has been laid on your desk at this time. If
Do
that's
we have
possible.
one amendment?
Yes, sir. It's
State your inquiry.
Pass?
We're-
Because I don't know that you can do amendments until there's a motion to pass.
I understand. Correct.
I defer to the attorneys.
27. Who we got?
I actually had an amendment I wanted to offer too, but
That's-
I'll wait.
Thank you so much. All right. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion. Got a motion to pass and a second. Any discussion? Now would be the time to offer your amendment.
Like to offer an amendment, sir?
State your inquiry.
I object to presenting a bill, moving a bill forward where the primary sponsor of the bill is not here.
Objection noted. Thank you so much. Representative Taylor.
Sir, my amendment, which is laid on your desk, is LC number, actually it's AM amendment 281626, offered by me, and amends the substitute to HB 664 by inserting after line 338. And this was actually put in the Brookhaven Charter by Senator James when they passed this bill in 2002, because they looked at people that were looking to make a career of incorporating a city and possibly taking a job there. It says no person who is a member of the General Assembly at the time of the enactment of this charter shall be eligible for election or to serve as mayor or council member of the city of Greenhaven during the first 10 years of the city's existence. And line 5 would be by striking the salary down on line 375 from $25,000 to $12,000 for city council members and $35,000 and $16,000 for mayor. The salaries of the 2 largest cities in DeKalb County, Dunwoody and Brookhaven, which have large tax digests, the mayor makes $16,000. The city council would make $12,000. This should be public service. It should not be a job.
All right. We've got a motion for the Taylor amendment. Do I hear a second on the amendment? All right. Let's take that amendment. All in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. All right. Representative Wynn, you had an amendment?
Yes, I have an amendment. Can I first make a statement before I offer this amendment? Is that?
How long the statement's going to be?
I'll try to make it 30 seconds.
There you go.
Yes. So I would like to thank everybody in this room for your commentary. A big part of my district is represented in this map, and I do want to note for the record, every single email that I've gotten from my own constituents is not in favor of this, and I do not believe that there has been adequate public process to create a city this size. And I'd like to offer an amendment that is similar to what we saw with the Sharon Springs legislation, which would be inserted on page 59, line 1916 to 1918. And what I'd like to say is, if more than 57.5% of the votes cast on such question are for approval of the act, it shall become a full force and effect as provided in this charter. Otherwise, it shall be void and of no force and effect. And what I did was take that threshold that we saw in Sharon Springs that many of us agreed was a good threshold, and would like to add that amendment into this.
Not being here, as you know, that increases the likelihood that it doesn't pass. And I'm not shocked by that either. But
Did she say something about the Second Amendment?
yeah, there you go. That's pretty good. You would agree that the higher the standard, the more likely it is to be defeated by the voters.
Well,
please.
I would really like the bill sponsor to be able to answer that question as well. Because
But you're the one that offered the amendment.
yes, I did offer the amendment.
I just want to have an intellectual discussion.
Sure.
So you're prepared at 56% of the people to say, majority rules, but I offered the amendment to say your 56% isn't good enough.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes. Your percentage was 57.5. So you're prepared for your constituents to look at them and say, under majority rule, under every other election we have, your 56% approval rating's not enough because of your amendment.
Well, what I was prepared to do was offer this amendment in the spirit that we did see this previously in another piece of legislation, and all members of this committee verbally agreed that that threshold made sense when creating and making legislation as important as cityhood.
Yep, but that wasn't my question. Are you prepared to look at your constituents, say 56 approval rating wasn't enough in your district?
Yes.
Okay. I hear it again. I am. Come on, y'all. We've been doing great so far. All right. We've got a motion, and I think Representative Oliver seconded it. All those in favor of the Wynn amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. No. Move for a division. Those in favor of the Wynn amendment.
Have we seen the amendment?
I read it.
Those in favor of the Wynn amendment will please raise their hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those opposed to the Wynn amendment, like sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you. Now, we've got the House Bill 644 as amended by Taylor. Motion do pass. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those like signs. Opposed? No. Ayes clearly have it. You're going to ask for a division on that? All right. To my friend, yes, ma'am.
I'd like to clarify the amendment.
The amendment's been voted on.
Did he, I think he misstated, or maybe I misheard. He stated that the salary of the mayor was gonna be 16,000, but if you insert that into the body, it says, mayor is treated separately. Or did I mishear?
So let's go, Jeff.
Let me check, make sure she's correct.
It says.
She's correct.
No.
No, not, the Taylor amendment passed.
But we need to clarify if that's president of the council or mayor.
Just a second. We're about out of here, Chairman Powell. I know. I appreciate your patience. If you ever need anything and it's not a big inconvenience, I'm there for you. You missed the mayor's salary. Okay, so I'm going to ask Legislative Council to help with the Price amendment to the Taylor amendment for clarification purposes.
I'll defer to Representative Taylor to fix his own amendment. It is. It's the next line. It's the very no. It's not in the amendment. It's in the very next line of the bill.
So if you can read us what you think it should say, we can
move forward.
What do you want the president of council salary to be, Representative Taylor?
In line with most of the large DeKalb County cities, 16,000, 12,000 for council members, 16,000 for either the president or the mayor.
Okay, then we would add the annual salary of the mayor shall be $16,000
Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Chairman Taylor?
Yes, sir.
Legislative Council, you've got it in legalese? All right, so we're gonna clarify real quick as soon as he gets ready. Chairman Taylor, do you know what your amendment's gonna read now?
As soon as Ledge Council tells me, I will.
Okay.
My intent was to basically with this is to bring it into line. Again, this should not be a career position. It should be public service. We survive on a stipend. I don't see why.
Right. That's a nice catch, Representative Price. Yes.
If this goes forward, they can always come back and amend their charter to do something.
That's correct.
Correct.
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, the language, we would go in on line 6 on the amendment, and we would strike the period, put in a semicolon, and put in the language, and by striking, quote, determined by the city council, close quote, on line 377, and inserting in lieu thereof, quote, $16,000, close quote. So moved.
Got to move.
Second.
Second. All right. All those in favor of the Taylor amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. All right. The posture we're in is we've got a motion, but we were asked for a division. Is that correct? So all those opposed to, we're going to do in favor first. House Bill 644, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Those opposed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 11 to 6. House Bill 644 moves to rules. Barry.